Let's add some details to the idea of the bioregions. Looking again, bioregion is a region broadly defined by its physical, human-built, socio-cultural, and economic attributes. Slightly different than what we said before, we broadened it. Physical attributes of a bioregion include its geographic, ecological, and hydrological contours and systems, giving shape to its landscape and watersheds. We mentioned Cascadia and the Indo-Gangetic Plain before. They are still the same examples, of course. Other physical attributes now include climate, flora, fauna, soil, and water. Right? So there are often natural vegetation, as we called, and working lands. And working lands would have evolved over time by modifying the natural lands like deforestation or grazing lands, pastures, and so on. Human-built attributes also reside on top of those. So human-built attributes of a bioregion include areas, infrastructures, and human settlement patterns. Could be tribes interacting with forests or people collecting biofuels, etc. Encroachment, interactions with natural vegetation and natural ecosystems and wildlife, etc. Drivers of the bioregional transition are multiple and complex, obviously, combining problematic stresses as well as opportunities. And the examples include intensification of climate change as global demand surges for meeting basic human needs as food, water, energy, and dwelling space, mounting institutional, economic, and societal tensions, including inequality. So, for example, in India, the commitment to nationally determined contributions under Paris Agreement requires India to produce 2.5 to 3 gigaton CO2 sink additionally, and it is promised to be done by afforestation, but afforestation is now creating problems with the some tribal communities or indigenous communities that rely on forests or people living on the edge of the forests losing their land to afforestation. So there could be those issues. Cultural change within universities where demand is rising for equitable, civically engaged research, so local links, and education that is problem solving and solution oriented as opposed to just pedagogic. Right? Localization must come with these place-based research, education, and training. And solutions. Disruptions, good and bad, happening in the wake of newly emerging modes of knowledge production, data science, multimedia communication, networking, and cyber infrastructure. So many of them have obviously good intended benefits, and then there are unintended bad things happening as well. This is a figure I picked up from Pinterest, but I couldn't find the original source of it. Basically showing that about half of the world's population lives within 100 kilometers of the coast. So that's one bioregion that's highly exposed to climate and sea level rise and human domination. More than 1 billion people live in poor coastal communities with direct connections to the sea. Could be fishing villages, could be other related activities on the coast. Okay. Putting that in the urban-rural context, looking at populations from 1960 to 2017 from Our World in Data, you can see that rural population used to be almost double that of the urban population in 1960, but that has kind of flattened out, and urban population continues to increase now, and the split is now like 45 and 55% for rural and urban, and this is projected to continue, as you can see here. So urban population is going to be by 2050 much larger than the rural population. So the rural population in these projections actually decline. But one has to be careful because population projections are always tricky, and this is using UN World Urbanization Prospects and its median fertility scenario. So there are multiple fertility scenarios with the um, education of women and more financial independence, fertility rates drop, and they have always been dropping even in countries like India for a couple of decades. Population grows because there is still large population reproducing, but many places are going below replacement already in terms of number of kids per couple. Okay, so we have to keep those in mind. The cities also have disproportionately high impacts in terms of their emissions. We have seen this before. So this is the 10 countries with largest carbon footprints shown here, with the 3 urban clusters that contribute most to the carbon emissions in each nation totally. So this is the domestic ranking. These are the carbon emissions with total estimated emission with some error. China, Shanghai, Hong Kong, Guangzhou, Russia, Moscow, India, New Delhi, Kolkata, Mumbai, Tehran, Japan, US, Germany, Canada, and UK. So urban systems are, urban environments are considered economic hubs. They're very good for innovation. There is certain energy that drives innovation. Number of patents tend to be related to metropolitan populations and so on. But obviously they come with very region-specific climate problems, which they are trying to deal with in the C40 organization that we will look at. But how well are they doing that? So in that context, looking at bioregional transition, climate change, population growth, and the intensification of human-environment interactions, associated inequalities, risks, and disaster. So there is the global and regional drivers of regional transitions. New modes of knowledge production, data science, communication, and networking that we just talked about. Climate change in universities increasing the value of civically engaged place-based research, which we will look more specifically again at the UCSD example that we looked at before. Institutional, economic, and societal stresses spurring localization as a countervailing response to globalization. So this is the globalization thing of that we talked about. Establish bioregional science gateways. So these are the action items under key bioregional research and action challenges for sustainability science, planning and design. So establish bioregional science gateways for convergence research, education and learning. Create countervailing narratives and actionable theories of change for climate-friendly development. Promote diversity, equity, inclusion and justice through new forms of ecological democracy. So there is the concept of bioregional ethics as well, which begins with the following premise that human beings are social animals. Obviously, we have what is called genetic cultural evolution. If we are to survive well as a species, we need sustainable human-nature relationships and healthy place-based attachments in ethical living arrangements with one another and with the land, waters, habitat, plants and animals upon which we depend. So that's the context of the bioregionalism. Not just worry about adaptation, mitigation, global issues, etc. Adaptation in general implies localization, but this makes it much more concrete in the bioregional ethical considerations. Okay, so good concepts. We will see how they are being looked at, in what context they are occurring, without calling them necessarily bioregional transitions, bioregionalism, and so on. Right? These are terms evolving out of academia, but they are kind of describing what is already happening empirically. But can that empirical knowledge then help accelerate the localization and green infrastructure and other solutions?